Welcome back to the SSL Family Dad channel. Today I want to show you how to change the front struts on a 2018 Yukon Denali. I think this is the same for most of the models up to 2020, I think 2014 or 15 up to 2020. There's a couple things I want to get out of the way very quickly, and we'll get right to this repair for those of you who are anxious to see how this is done. I will say this, be careful of the part that you buy. Number one, I will put a link in the description to the Detroit axle version of this part. There are so many Chinese knockoffs out on Amazon that are just not good. And what they do is they post those, and then when people start to give them bad reviews, they pull it down, they repost it again. And so you'll always see a ton of them. They're $300 or less for a set, and they are junk. Do not buy those ones. This is more expensive. It's like, I think it was $510 or something right around there, but these are made right here in Michigan. And trust me, this is a way better part. That you don't want to mess around with your front suspension, have something break or go bad, or have to do this job again in 6 months. So anyway, okay, I'm going to show you some of the tools we're going to need. I've actually already done the passenger side one, which is the easiest one. I'm doing the driver side one right now. I'm going to show you how I got the other one out. That's part super easy. Getting the new one in is a little challenging. I'm going to show you some of the tricks that I used and how to get this done in pretty quick time. I don't need to state the obvious. Tires are off, the vehicle's jacked up, all that stuff has been done. I've already removed the other strut. This is what it looks like. This is the one with MagneRide. It doesn't really matter whether yours has MagneRide or not. If it does, it's going to have this little plug on the top, which obviously you need to disconnect before you pull it out. It has 3 studs on the top that have nuts that I'll show you here in just a minute. And then it just has 2 points of contact on the bottom. So this is where the bottom of the shock was mounted, right to these 2 holes. And I just removed these 2 bolts. These are 15mm bolts, and I did squirt a little bit of WD-40 on them, let it sit for a minute, and then just ran these out with a impact. On the top of the old strut, there was these little clip nuts here. These actually come new on the Detroit axle strut, so you don't need to worry about those. And then it also comes with 3 new nuts for the top. These are different size than the originals. These are 15mm, whereas the originals you're going to take off are 18mm. The passenger side one has a lot more room. The driver's side one is a little bit more challenging to get into, but it's really not that bad. You're gonna reach down here and you're gonna, you'll see the top of the 3 nuts. You're just gonna pull these there's a bunch of electronics clips and stuff. You're just gonna have to wiggle those off. You can pull them off, or you can use some type of a claw or pry bar or something like that to get underneath them and just pull them off. They just pop right off the top. Once you have those little clips taken off here, also if you have the MagneRide, you're going to want to, this is the clip that you're going to take off, that little gray tab right there. You pop that back and then you just wiggle it apart. And then to put this back together, you're just going to put it back together and then just push that gray tab back in, and that connects the connector. So you got to remove that if you have the MagneRide. The stock ones that are on there is an 18mm, so I just used a long extension and my impact, and those came right off. I didn't need to put any oil on or anything like that. So I just zipped those off, and then the strut will be right here. You'll just kind of knock it off the back of those, and then you can wiggle it right out through the top of this area here. Now we're gonna get the new one put in, and this is where some of the challenges will occur. You'll see what I mean in just a moment. Just gonna feed this cable up through here first, and then I'm gonna lift this into place. You can actually reach up here and get a couple of the nuts started just so it doesn't fall out. We live on a dirt road. All right, don't judge. So I'm just gonna clean up the seat here where the shock sits with a wire brush real fast. And then the next thing we need to do is the new strut is pushed down quite a bit more than it's a lot tighter than the old one. The old one was blown out, so it was all compressed. So we actually have to bend this whole thing down enough to get the shock up on top of this mount spot here. So I have a bar, piece of 3/4 inch pipe that I have used, and you can get that wedged right in there, and then pry this down but most likely you aren't not going to be able to get enough. I'll try it over here too. And you can try, and if you can do it, if you can get enough leverage on it, if you have a good pry bar, you might be able to get that down low enough to slide that on there. I'm gonna try it. I tried on the other side and it did not work. I'll show you what I did, but let's see if we can get it on this side. Okay, this side went very easily. The other side did not. So if you're not able to get it on, what you'll have to do is actually take off the sway bar right here. It's a 15 millimeter nut on the top and on the bottom, and mine was rusted pretty good. Plus there's a lot of tension on it, so it's kind of hard to get off, but work at this. You can actually take this nut all the way off. That'll take the tension off of this thing. That'll allow the whole arm to lower a lot easier. So passenger side, I had to take that off. This side seemed to be a little bit easier, so that's cool. So real simple, I'm reusing the existing bolts. I'm gonna run them back up through the bottom and attach the strut down there. And then I'll get up from up above and I'll run these nuts on there, reconnect my MagneRide clip at the top, and we're done. All right, 15 millimeter deep socket with a bunch of extensions. Should get us right down here. This one back here is a little harder to get to. Never really trust my little impact, so I always like to get my own tension, make sure they're all tight. I don't have a torque wrench, so. And don't forget your MagneRide electronic clip. Always double check everything. 3 bolts at the top are tight. MagneRide clip is put back in. Shock is mounted on the bottom arm there. Those are both tight. And that was all I touched, so everything else should be good. We didn't end up having to remove that on this side, so we're good. So that's it. I'll have to actually jack the truck up higher to get the tire back in there, because now there's a lot more tension on this. It's pushed that arm way down a lot further than it was. The stock part that was in here was garbage. These are a huge problem. If you look, you've probably been already all over YouTube. If you're having trouble in these vehicles, these leak. The seals were bad or something in these, and they leak. And so all your fluid ends up out of this thing, and then they're useless. Super short video today. Sometimes I look around on YouTube before I do these jobs just to get any tips from anybody else. And I never saw anyone have to deal with not being able to get the strut in there. And so I fought with this thing for quite a while before I figured out that I could take the sway bar, off. And that helped. So hopefully that helps somebody else out there. Hopefully it helps you guys if you're looking to do this job. It is actually pretty simple, pretty straightforward job. Won't take that long to do. Get a better part. Don't get the cheap ones. You're not going to be happy. And don't take this to the dealership. They wanted to charge us $2 grand to do this job. And it's just, for $500 you can have this done. So let me know if you guys have any questions. I'll put the link to the parts that I used in the description, and usually in a pinned comment as well, so you can find them easily. And let me know if you have questions. I'd love to help you out. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Have a good one.